Hello and welcome back. Today's step is going to be all about the journey of emotional healing. This is something that is extremely important when you are transitioning out of a toxic situation because if you have not emotionally healed, then you are not going to be able to move forward. There is always going to be a weight, right? And I find as human beings, the energy that we attract, right? We're attracting different energies every second of the day. But if it's a negative energy that you've attracted, we tend to, for some reason, we tend to stick to that. And a lot of that is wrapped up in emotions. And those emotions, if they have not been healed or if you do not know how to manage them to begin with, that negative energy is going to continue to stay. We're going to explore a comprehensive set of steps that are designed to guide you through your self-discovery, through your resilience and growth, my favorite word. And I would like for you to look at each step as a beacon. So really lighting your way towards inner balance, right? Or towards your ways. The first step in this healing is really going to be about acknowledging your feelings to begin with. A lot of times when we are in situations where there's a whole flurry of emotions that may have come up, and I'm talking negative situations in this case, we don't tend to actually acknowledge them. We tend to go along with whatever's happening in that relationship to begin with. And then we usually work towards a solution. Well, the issue is there's never really a feeling of solutioning until you have been able to acknowledge your feelings to begin with and what got you there to begin with. That's a process in itself. So, like anything in life, especially through transition, uh, I liken it to going through turbulence, if you will, right? You go through turbulence, and what's the first thing that you do? And I'm talking about sitting on a plane. What's the first thing that you do? We tend to get a little bit freaked out. We tend to hold on, and then when everything stabilizes again, it's a matter of continuing on. But what we didn't really allow ourselves to do in that moment was to feel the actual emotions of, okay, why am I feeling this? Yes, there's turbulence, but am I handling this in a way that's going to get me through emotionally intact, right? Physically, yes, wonderful, but am I over it emotionally? Well, the only way you get over something is to really identify the root causes of why you felt like that and to be able to look at the past, like what happened on that journey to begin with, and say to myself, you know what, I really need to take time here to process how I felt. And I need to know how to manage that. How am I going to manage that better for next time? Life is a series of that turbulent feeling, especially when again you're going through a transformation or transition, and it's about how are you handling the journey throughout. Are you constantly holding on, and then when you get out of it, again, everything's great? Or did you really take time to process it from an emotional standpoint? You have to remember that your emotions are valid, and it is okay to experience a range of feelings without feeling judged, right? And not necessarily by others, but we tend to judge ourselves. You have to be able to acknowledge your feelings, right? To validate your feelings, because ultimately acknowledging forms the foundation of that journey to begin with. The second step that you want to do after you acknowledge that is to seek support. So as you navigate your emotions, consider reaching out to trusted friends and family. You're with me right now, right? I'm your life coach. I create a safe space for you to be able to process your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas. And it is about creating a psychologically safe environment. If you feel like when you are with individuals that you don't get that true, and I'm saying true sense of feeling psychologically safe in their environment, well, that's an opportunity to also evaluate and assess that friendship or that work relationship or whatever relationship it is. It's an opportunity for you to evaluate that to begin with and really sit down and kind of get a sense of, okay, how do I feel when I'm with this individual and when times are rough? Not just when times are great, but how are things when times are rough? If you don't feel like you're in a psychologically safe environment, then point blank, I'm going to be very blunt here, that might not be the relationship that you need to be in or you should be in. Easier said than done, right? Depending on the relationship that it is and a lot of, extenuating factors around that. But there is a solution to everything. And the first one is, of course, acknowledging the way you're feeling, but ensuring that you're also surrounding yourself with a trusted group of individuals, whether it be one person or multiple, trusted group of individuals that you feel psychologically safe. Do you feel comfortable reaching out to them? Based on patterns before, are these individuals that have supported you through that difficult time? Did they truly support you, or did you always feel like you're walking on eggshells or like you're going to be judged? Again, acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge that they are valid, and trust yourself. Trust yourself to be able to come to that determination of who your support group is, and to realize that this is part of the emotional healing journey, is about who you're surrounding yourself to begin with, right? If you're able to share your feelings, and it's comforting to you, if you are able to share your insights and also get insights. I mean, it's okay to have that trusted group should be able to give you insights, but in a very non-judgmental way. That is a good sign. And the thing is ultimately feeling like your strength in knowing this comes from knowing that you're not alone. Practicing self-compassion is also something that's an important step to this journey. You need to treat yourself with kindness. You need to treat yourself with understanding, right? And I hope you're with me here, but understanding is a theme all throughout the journey. Yes, there's a lot of other moving parts to this, but understanding helps to provide solution. And the sooner that you understand how you're feeling, as soon as you understand how to manage your feelings, as soon as you understand who your support group is, it's amazing how it all comes together ultimately in the end, especially the results, right? The result is, how do I feel when I've come out on the other end? How do I feel? And it does start with understanding. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness. Release the self-blame. Practice, compassion as you navigate through these difficult situations. Understand that you deserve the same care that you readily offer to others, because we tend to take care of everybody else's emotions and so forth, but we're not taking care of our own. We tend to tell others to practice self-compassion, but do we do it for ourselves? These are important things to recognize, to realize. And again, I'm going to repeat it. You deserve the same care you readily offer to others. Journaling is something, that's another step that is highly therapeutic. I'm certain that you've heard this before, but it is absolutely a therapeutic release. We tend not to release our feelings, right? It tends to keep a lot of things in. It is absolute therapy on paper. It is absolutely a sacred space as well, right? For you to be able to share how you're feeling, what you're thinking. It is a support mechanism, a support tool in the grand scheme of things. So in addition to your support group, journaling is something that you can release, look at, and then I'm going to say probably discover a lot of things about yourself that you didn't even know. Like, it's one thing when you write it out, but are you reading what you wrote? And that tends to reveal a lot of insights to yourself that you didn't even know that you possessed. Journaling also brings clarity. It releases pent-up emotions, and it really does help to serve as a compass, guiding you on your journey of self-discovery. Speaking of self-discovery, so mindfulness and meditation, something else you might have heard of before, it really helps, and it really works. The first time I remember I heard mindfulness, Tennille, practice mindfulness. I'm like, what's that? Like, I am mindful. Are we really? So I'm going to use an example. You're going for a walk and you see a tree. Okay, you walk by. Well, you should actually take a moment to stop, look at the tree, look at the color, think about the smells, think about the texture from it, think about how it came to be. That tree has a story, right? But it's practicing mindfulness. And the way you might look at the tree, you look at yourself as, right? Not as a tree, but taking times to really think about yourself and how you see yourself and your being and your whole spirit, if you will. It's a wonderful, beautiful journey where you're practicing mindfulness. It's also a form of meditation that allows you to zone out from the world and really think about being. This is something that also helps you to stay present and very calm. And really, these are invaluable tools that help to manage stress, and it certainly, of course, promote emotional well-being. And it grounds you in the present moment. So whether you're practicing mindfulness about yourself, right, really just zoning out, or looking at that tree, it's putting you in the present. And I think an added bonus of that is really just appreciating yourself and reminding you of your journey, right? I'm going to say that I'm using really that tree as a metaphor, but it is about mindfulness, being very mindful and being very present and in the moment, and just observing and thinking about life, right? Thinking about your life and how you got here, and appreciating your achievements and loving yourself, and just really, really engaging in being mindful, which again helps you to stay present and in the calm. It's definitely a grounding moment and something that you should do, and I highly recommend as part of this journey. Establishing healthy boundaries is something else that I think is important to this, because setting clear boundaries to safeguard your emotional well-being is paramount, right? It is second to none. And setting boundaries it's healthy for you, and it's healthy for your environment, and it's something that if you don't safeguard yourself, fortunately we're in it's a very cold world out there. There will be people out there who will, I believe, take advantage, right, if you don't set boundaries. It's also learning techniques to get the courage to be able to set those boundaries, because it's easier said than done, right? Just saying no. The reality is sometimes we're in a situation where it's like, I can't just be like no to this person, right? But I think approach is everything. I think communication is everything, and how you deliver can make all the difference. Really setting boundaries is, learning to say no when necessary. And it is about prioritizing your needs. So I think when you've come to that realization, right, and you're like, I really need to set boundaries here. I really need to have some perimeters. I think, again, going back to your approach and your communication to whomever it might be, I think that it's very important and good to be able to have a conversation with them. It doesn't have to be in an aggressive way or anything like that, but certainly it's something that you can establish with yourself and repeat, Repeat as necessary until it's understood that, hey, I'm serious and I need to have these boundaries set. And even if you do want to explain, you want to say, you know what, this is why I'm setting these boundaries, because it's going to help me with XYZ. I find sometimes explanations come in handy, right? Rather than just being, again, you don't necessarily have to be aggressive about it or anything like that, but it is really maintaining that sense of calm and control that I talked to just a few minutes ago. That all ties in together, right? So once you have been able to kind of, work on and improve the previous steps that I set out, it's going to make it that much easier to be able to then establish your journey. Boundaries are the foundation of healthy relationships, right? So not just with others, but with yourself. And if you start with setting those boundaries with yourself, it is that much easier to be able to set boundaries with others. In terms of physical activity, right? So I'd say this is step 7, is embracing the power of physical activity can do wonders for your emotional healing. You might hear a lot out there that, yeah, keeping moving absolutely helps. It doesn't just help from a physical standpoint. It also helps from a mental and spiritual standpoint. It's a trifecta. Those 3 things they work with each other. They work in tandem. And if one thing is not balanced, then the other areas cannot be balanced, right? So it's very much about managing and maintaining that even sense of balance on every level. Now, exercise in particular, that releases endorphins, it reduces stress, and it most certainly fosters a positive mood. You might have tended to see or feel, I should say, that, you might go for a brisk walk. When they say, oh, get out for a few minutes to catch your breath and recalibrate and so forth, that is all real. That's all scientifically proven that it does release endorphins, it does reduce the stress, and it does foster a more positive mood, and you come back to whatever situation you're in feeling more balanced. There's a sense of clarity. It's not so much, you don't feel it in the center of your heart, like that negative energy that you might have been feeling previously to going out, right? So I certainly think that getting out there, whether it be out, it could be on the treadmill, it could be outside, it could be maybe walking around your place for a second or two to kind of catch your breath and walk away from that situation, knowing that you're going to come back in a much better mindset, certainly comes in handy. Movement, remember, movement is not just for the body, but it is certainly medicine for the soul. Tried and true, it's a fact. Creative expression. So step 8, expressing your emotions through creative outlets such as art, music, or writing, or whatever you feel is, kind of your flavor, if you will. Being able to express your emotions certainly helps with the journey because creativity in itself, it's a potent tool for emotional release, right, and self-expression. Certainly letting your inner world unfold, the canvas of your chosen medium, it can release a whole pile of feel-good endorphins, and at the same time help with your emotions, especially when you're trying to process and manage it, right? So certainly being creative and artistic, it helps to process, it helps to calm down the fire burning within inside and actually produce another kind of fire that's more positive, which of course is that creative fire. Mind-body practices, so it kind of ties into the physical aspect. Exploring mind-body practices like yoga or Tai Chi. Who would have thought, right? Those kind of practices, those are ancient arts that weave a tapestry connecting physical and mental well-being. It promotes a harmonious approach to healing. So when I've talked about the trifecta, the mind, the body, the spirit, that is harmony, right? When everything is working nicely together, it's like a symphony, right? So certainly being able to soothe your soul, really give it the tender love and care that's needed to be able to heal. Again, your body, your mind, and the soul is certainly going to thank you. Step 10 is therapeutic techniques. So we were talking about the physical aspect, but there's also another interesting aspect, which is CBT, tried and true. I myself have done it. Cognitive behavioral therapy. I haven't had my coffee yet. That comes in handy. So that's something that is an evidence-based approach, and it provides a practical tool for navigating specific emotional challenges. Even dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, is something that you could take a look at. Connecting with nature, this is a favorite. So I mentioned going out. That is certainly a sanctuary for reflection and healing. I tend to find that nature's rhythms can synchronize your own or with your own, right? So it offers solace, it offers renewal, and it's certainly a serene backdrop for self-discovery. And with that, focus on self-care. So prioritizing self-care activities that bring you joy and relaxation is something I would definitely say is part of this prescription. So it could be a warm bath, one of my favorites, a really good book, or just any activity that recharges your spirit. Self-care is essential, and it's certainly an essential pillar of your emotional well-being. So focus on self-care. Make this a daily thing. This can't be, once in a while when you get a chance. You have to have the discipline to be able to go through this emotional healing journey, right? And this is something I should have mentioned in the beginning, but I'm mentioning it now. Having the self-discipline to put focus on your self-care is essential to be able to get you through this journey. Gratitude, that's a form of exercise, emotional, mental, and physical exercise. Cultivating that gratitude, if you will, the practice of it, and regularly acknowledging and appreciating the positive aspects of your life, second to none, right? There's nothing more important than you. And a part of you is being able to practice and cultivate self-care and gratitude for yourself. Thank you for being here, right? Shifting your focus towards a positive can really be a transformative force in your healing journey. And gratitude, whether it be waking up in the morning, the first words out of your mouth could be, thank you for another day. Thank you for the breath that I breathe. Thank you for the sky. Thank you for, there's so many things that you can feel grateful for. And tying back into the journaling, this is something that you can even include in your journal, is really practicing that gratitude. And learning and growth. This is all about learning and growth. This whole journey, you being with me today, is all about growth, right? And learning. And you're going to learn a lot about yourself through this. And it's about embracing those turbulent times. As much as the good times, embrace it, right? This is a part of your learning and your growth. What did you take away from this experience? You're going to be also experiencing a range of emotions through this. That's all good, because that's all cleansing, right? And that's a part of getting the emotions out and that healing. So really view challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for learning and personal growth. Embrace the lessons that come with difficult experiences, and recognize that growth often arises from adversity. And part of that journey, of course, is seeking different resources in the form of a life coach, a therapist, a counselor. You can have a team put together to be able to help you through this process, because with the emotions, it's something that mentally you need to be able to have that feeling of support. So again, friends, family, life coaches, therapy, counseling, all of this really is therapy. From a professional standpoint, it's also good to, again, have that human touch involved. Really having the ability to be able to provide guidance and support, offering additional tools for your unique journey, is something that I certainly recommend as part of this healing. I would really, really be appreciative that of you to be able to follow these steps. Really take time. If you have any questions, if you want to share any thoughts, let's look at this together. And I look forward to helping you as you heal throughout this journey.